Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to our technical English lesson. Today we'll start our first lesson on engines. In this lesson we have two objectives. Number one is to describe the motion of the moving parts in an internal combustion engine by looking at a diagram. Number two is to identify the correct order of the four-stroke cycle of an internal combustion engine after reading the text about the cycle. Before we begin, let's take a look at some keywords we will be using in this lesson. The keywords are mainly parts of an internal combustion engine. Repeat after me. Valve, valve, piston, piston, crankshaft, crankshaft, cam, cam, ignition, ignition, combustion, combustion. Very good. Now let's take a look at pictures and definitions. A valve is a part of a tube or pipe that opens and shuts to control the flow of liquid, gas, or air passing through it. A piston is a metal part of an engine that moves up and down to make the other parts of the engine move. Crankshaft is a long piece of metal that is connected to the engine and helps to turn the wheels. A cam is a wheel or part of a wheel that is shaped to change circular movement into backwards and forwards movement. Ignition is the act of starting to burn or of making something start to burn. Combustion. Combustion is the process of burning. Now, open your course book to page 60. You will see a picture of an internal combustion engine. I believe you are familiar with this engine in your workshops, so you should know the parts that move. Now your task is to draw arrows to the movements, then describe the motion of the moving parts using the words in the bracket here. Let's begin. Cam is a part that moves in a circular movement. So which means from here we choose the motion word that describes circular movement. Is it linear, oscillating, reciprocating, or rotary? And the answer is rotary, because rotary describes movement in circles. Then we have the next part that moves, the exhaust valve, through which air goes out. So this is a movement in one direction. So a movement in one direction is linear. And then we have the intake valve through which air gets in. And this is also a one-directional movement. So it's a linear. The next is the piston. The piston moves up and down. That is in two directions. So which of these describes movement in two directions. It is reciprocating. And then we have the crankshaft here. You can see it's also a movement in circles and is defined as a rotary motion. And the last one is this, that is the valves. The valves move up and down. So it is reciprocating motion. Now, next, we will number these diagrams in the correct order after reading the description of the four-stroke cycle. A four-stroke cycle engine is an internal combustion engine in which the piston completes four separate strokes while turning the crankshaft. A stroke means the full travel of the piston along the cylinder in either directions, up or down. So the piston completes four strokes, four travels, which means two up and two down. So now, I want you to pause the video and try to number the diagrams in the correct order. Good. Now, you will read and check your answers. Let's read and order the first two together so that we can have enough clues on how to read and find the correct order. So now let's start. Here we have before the cycle begins. Well, number one is pretty easy because look at this number one. It's already written before the cycle begins. So picture number one is the first diagram. Now, let's go to number two. So now, what do? When you read a sentence, try to eliminate options that do not satisfy the sentence. Keep reading and eliminating options until you are left with the correct diagram for the stage. So now here we have 5 options here left. So now let's see. Intake stroke, the crankshaft rotates. Now let's go back to our options and see if we can eliminate a picture or pictures that do not satisfy this sentence. As you can see here, we have this picture number 3. Here, the crankshaft does not rotate, so it's not one of the options here. So we are left with 4 options. Let's keep reading. This makes the piston move down the cylinder away from the valve. All right, so moving down means the arrow will be facing down. So when you look at this one, the arrow is facing up. So it's not our option. Now we have 4 and 5. Both arrows are facing down. But number 6 here, the arrow is facing up. So it's not our option. So we have 2 options here, 4 and 5. Let's keep reading and then decide which one is the correct number 2. This makes the valve move downwards, which opens the intake port. Okay. As the piston moves down, fuel is sucked into the cylinder through this inlet. So now, which one here shows fuel is getting into the cylinder? This is clearly number 2. So this picture here is our number 2. So now pause the video, use this process of reading and eliminating options to get the correct order. Once you get your order, try to compare your answer with the answer you wrote before reading the description. Good. Did you get it right the first time? Very good. Okay. Now, let's check our answers together. It's number 3. This is number 4. It's number 5. And number 6. Now, let's summarize. In summary, you can see that when you read, to put diagrams in correct order, you read and eliminate options until you are left with the correct option. This method can also be useful if you read to draw arrows on a flowchart or follow directions. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you in another lesson. Assalamu alaikum.